Imagine being 18 years old, wrapped in a flame-colored bridal veil that catches the torchlight like living fire, believing you're stepping into an evening of celebration, laughter, and the beginning of a new life. The streets of Rome echo with songs. Walnuts scatter at your feet for luck. Crowds cheer as your procession winds home. No one had warned you that the real ritual waits behind closed doors. No one had mentioned that unfamiliar faces' attendance, witnesses a silent physician would watch every moment. And certainly no one had prepared you for that tall, shrouded wooden form standing quietly in the corner, hidden under heavy cloth, its purpose already clear to everyone else in the room with their calm, unreadable eyes. In a matter of minutes you will reach for that cloth. In a matter of minutes you will understand your mother's trembling hands that morning. And in a matter of minutes you will realize that this wedding night has nothing to do with affection. Let the world outside fade now, the room around you growing dimmer, warmer, the air thick with olive oil smoke and fresh wool wreaths. You're sinking deeper into the cushions, breathing slower as we drift together into Rome, 89 CE. The stone walls cool against your skin, the flicker of lamps pulling you further in. If these hidden corners of the past are already tugging at your curiosity, subscribe to Cozy History Mystery. Subscribe for more nights like this. Tap the like button. And once you reach the moment that unsettles you the most, tell me where you're watching from. Now, let us begin. The heavy door thuds shut behind you, muffling the street, songs those bawdy verses meant to amuse the gods and embarrass the bride. Marcus lifts you over the threshold, that ancient gesture to dodge bad omens, though its roots run darker, back to days when brides weren't always eager guests. Inside the atrium, the figures wait, the pronuba in her ceremonial robes, witnesses standing still, enslaved women with basins of scented water, the physician with his leather kit, and there, half-shadowed, the draped shape. Morning had felt different, dreamlike, almost beautiful. Your hair parted at dawn with a spear tip, braided into 6 locks tied with wool ribbons, every strand following ancestral rule. The sacrifice at the temple gave good signs. Your father spoke the old words handing you over. You whispered the vow brides repeated for centuries. Ubi to Gaius, ego Gaia. Where you are master, I am mistress. Marcus, the grain merchant twice your age, a stranger met only thrice. The public part seemed festive enough. But now, in this lamplit space, the pronuba takes your arm grip steady, guiding. The sacred rites must be completed. Roman marriage wasn't hearts and flowers. It was transfer of control from fathers Manus to husbands, documented like any property deal. Laws had loosened a little, women could hold wealth. Divorce wasn't impossible, but the core stayed ironclad. Legitimate heirs demanded certainty. No courtroom doubts years later. So everything verified. Virginity proven, consummation witnessed, sacred tradition wrapped around legal steel. The pronuba leads you closer to the shrouded form. Greet mutinous tutinous, she says quietly. Seek his blessing, a name you've barely heard, an old fertility god tucked in Rome's shadows. Your fingers brush the cloth rune stilling, witnesses watching without flicker. You lift it and understand the hiding. A wooden phallus, tall and deliberate, carved plain for ritual. Not a garden charm, this is stark, functional. Shadows stretch long across frescoed walls. Pagan writers mention it awkwardly. Later Christians rage against it. Brides, they say, sat upon the emblem some claim symbolic perch. Others imply deeper act to honor the god first, ensure fertility, teach readiness. All before witnesses, husband waiting. Darkly absurd when you think about it, that empire of aqueducts and armies, boiling a wedding down to this overseen oddity. Like a dad shrugging through a brutal Midwest winter. Well, tradition's tradition. Quiet grit, stubborn acceptance. The pronuba adjusts your stance, murmuring prayers for children. You comply, refusal means ruin, marriage void, returned home not triumphant, but whispered about, family shamed, prospects gone. So you endure, face composed, that Roman toughness carrying you through. Afterward, warm water and soft claws, cleansing, soothing, preparing. Then the physician steps forward. In wealthy matches, virginity isn't trusted, it's examined, recorded beforehand. Now checked again, confirming the ritual's effect. Witnesses present, all clinical, legal. You fix on ceiling paintings, breathing even, letting thoughts drift elsewhere. When it's done, the pronuba nods proper, expected. The mysteries unfolding here might have you pausing already. If one lands heavy, drop where you're listening from I read those in the morning light. She leads you to the bedchamber next. Bed position for clear view from the open door, lamps steady. No privacy by design. Marcus enters, pausing, a flush on his older face. Not the confident lord you expected, hesitant, bound by the same customs. The pronuba declares you ready, God satisfied. Let the union complete, all present acknowledging. Hours stretch under watchful eyes. She directs softly when needed, ensuring tradition met, legal standards kept. Sounds carry down corridors, nothing concealed. Verification, thorough and grim. Marriage real only when seen, proven. You face it with that absurd Roman optimism, like joking through hardship. At least the gods are pleased, stubborn. Positivity holding steady amid the strange. Dawn edges closer, lamps low and smoky. Physician returns final confirmation of transition. Marks recorded. Witnesses affirm, done. You're a wife now, fully, irrevocably. Yet the memory lingers silent. Women didn't speak of this night. Men didn't linger on details. As familiar as daily bread, no need to describe. As pale light touches Rome's rooftops, the house grows quiet. But how these rites slowly vanished, buried by new beliefs that deeper shadow waits ahead. Breathe slower now. Let the ancient air wrap gently. Safe here, drifting further. The story holding you softly as sleep creeps in. The first pale light of dawn is brushing the rooftops of Rome now. Lamps burning low, the house quiet except for the soft shift of linens and the distant coo of early pigeons. You're still here with me, breathing slow and easy, heavier with every exhale, the weight of that long night settling like a thick wool blanket. Livia, barely 18, has crossed the line. The physician has made his final notes. The pronuba has given her solemn nod. The witnesses have murmured their agreement. The marriage is sealed, verified, complete. No court in the empire could ever question it. And yet, in the hush that follows, something lingers unspoken. A silence that will follow Livia and thousands like her for the rest of their lives. Let yourself sink a little deeper now. Shoulders loosening, thoughts stretching longer between words. If the weight of these old truths is pulling you gently toward sleep, and I hope it has let that pull grow stronger. When a moment lands quiet in your chest, maybe share your city in the comments tomorrow. I always smile reading where these stories carry folks off to dreamland. And if the calm rhythm of the night helps switch off the day, a quick subscribe keeps more of them coming. That silence wasn't just Livia's. It belonged to every Roman matron of standing. Mothers never described the night to daughters, not plainly. Anyway, a whispered, "Do not resist." A hurried tear brushed away while braiding hair, and that was all. The ritual was as familiar as the morning bread baking in the courtyard oven. Everyone knew the ingredients. No one needed the recipe spoken aloud. Men wrote laws, poems, history's pages and pages about conquests and aqueducts, but on this, a few awkward lines quickly passed over, like your grandpa telling a fishing story and skipping the part where he fell in the lake. Embarrassing, unnecessary, better left alone. Generation after generation, brides stepped over the same thresholds, lifted the same cloth, endured the same watchful eyes. For nearly 1,000 years, this was simply how Rome did marriage. Families accepted it, priests blessed it, lawyers relied on it. Property had to be inspected. Heirs had to be unquestioned. A woman's body was the vessel that carried the family line forward, so the vessel got checked, measured, guaranteed. Cold logic wrapped in sacred words. Darkly funny in that dry way. The same civilization that gave us roads still used today couldn't quite trust love or even privacy to seal a deal. But nothing lasts forever, not even Roman certainty. Change didn't come from inside the marble halls from senators suddenly growing soft hearts. It crept in from the edges, quiet at first, like spring thaw after a long freeze. Christianity started as a fringe sect, dismissed by most Romans as odd superstition. Yet it carried ideas Rome hadn't baked into its laws, that every soul man, woman, slave, free, was equal before one God. That marriage was a holy mystery, not a property transfer. That modesty mattered more than legal proof. Slowly across the 4th and 5th centuries, those ideas took root. Church fathers thundered against the old rites, Augustine furious, Lactantius refusing even to name the details. Statues of mutinous Tutunus vanished from homes smashed, buried or quietly stashed in attics. Texts mentioning the full wedding night got lost in monastery libraries, pages crumbling a little too conveniently. Wall paintings hinting at overseen beds were plastered over for fresher saints. The Pronuba's role shrank until she was mostly a kindly aunt arranging flowers. It wasn't one dramatic decree, more like a long, stubborn thaw. Elite families in Constantinople first, then provincial cities, then the countryside. Brides still wore veils, walnuts were still tossed, songs still echoed, but behind closed doors, the doors actually closed. Witnesses waited outside. Physicians stayed home. The wooden god gathered dust, then disappeared altogether. By the time the Western Empire crumbled, most people genuinely believed Roman weddings had always been the pretty picture we imagine today. Saffron veils, joyful chants, romantic procession. The darker half had been scrubbed so thoroughly that even educated men, a few, centuries later thought the Christian writers must have exaggerated. Fragments survived angry footnotes in theology books, vague lines in legal commentaries. but the full memory faded like an old fresco under whitewash. And here's the quiet grit in it all. The women endured the old way, then adapted to the new without complaint. Livia lived into her 60s managing households, raising sons who'd argue in the forum, daughters who'd marry under softer rules. Did she ever wonder at the change? Did she feel relief watching her own girls walk to simpler beds? Or did she just accept it the way farmers accept rain, something the gods, or God, decided? We don't know. She left no diary, no letter. Roman women rarely did. Their stories lived in what they did, not what they wrote. Feel the pace easing now? Words coming slower, softer, spaces between them growing wider like breaths between waves. The empire's noise fading farther back. Rome's marble cooling under moonlight. Everything quieter. Those fragments endure, though. Stubborn little echoes in dusty manuscripts, waiting for curious scholars centuries later to piece them together and blink in disbelief. We romanticize Rome law, order, grandeur, but acknowledging what it asked of half its people complicates the picture. Refinement and brutality sharing the same toga. A legal system sharp enough to measure an inch of land, yet blind to a young woman's fear. The rights are gone. The statues broken. The silence finally broken, not by the women who lived it, but by time and stubborn truth. Livia, her mother, her daughters, that countless unnamed brides who walked torch-lit streets into nights of surveillance and verification. They lived it, carried it, let it go unspoken. And in their quiet endurance, there's that same absurd Roman strength, like a Texan staring down a storm with a shrug and a "we'll get through." Let the story settle now. Heavy, warm, wrapping around you. The ancient house asleep at last. Dawn gentle over the Tiber. Everything still. You're safe here, warm. Thoughts drifting farther apart. Farther, until they fade into quiet. Good night, night owls. Sleep deep. I'll be here when you need another story. Sweet dreams.